If you're jumping into Sworn and wondering which weapons are actually worth your time, you're in the right place. In this Arthurian co-op roguelite, your weapon isn't just a starting choice. It basically defines your entire run from the moment you step into Camelot. Some weapons feel decent early, but absolutely explode with the right Fey Lord blessings, while others are just solid no matter what the game throws at you. So in this video, we're breaking down a full Sworn tier list, ranking the best weapons across every hero class and pointing out the most flexible picks for any playstyle. Whether you're playing on standard, pushing into Knight, or sweating your way through Sovereign difficulty, knowing which weapons consistently perform can make the difference between a clean clear and a painful reset. We'll talk about which weapons scale the hardest, which ones demand specific synergies to shine, and which ones you can safely lock in without overthinking your build. If you're trying to dominate your runs and make smarter choices before the first fight even starts, this is exactly where you want to be. I'm quickly moving on to the video and I'm ranking weapons in Sworn. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Arcane Blade. Alright, I'm just gonna say it. If you pick Arcane Blade Spectre in Sworn and your run starts feeling weirdly clunky, it's not you, it's the weapon. On paper it sounds cool, but the light attack having a reload cooldown completely messes with your rhythm, especially in a game where flow is everything. You want to weave attacks smoothly, but instead you are awkwardly waiting for your basic swing to come back online. The starting damage is also disappointingly low, so early fights feel slower and less satisfying than they should. And let's talk about that range. It's stuck in this uncomfortable middle ground where you are too close to be safe, yet not close enough to get that heavy melee payoff. You end up putting yourself in danger without getting the burst or control that true close range weapons provide. The worst part? In pretty much every scenario, Armillary Sphere and Scythe simply do the job better, whether you are looking for consistency, scaling, or just clean combat flow. Arcane Blade Spectre is not completely unplayable, but when you compare it side by side with the stronger options, it feels like you are voluntarily choosing hard mode for no real reward. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Hand Cannon and Mace. Alright, let's talk about Hand Cannon. Honestly, it's one of those weapons that makes you feel powerful, but only if you are patient. The starting damage is solid, and the range lets you poke enemies from a safer distance, which is always satisfying. But then, reality hits. The attacks are slow, and that heavy attack? Yeah, it can overheat if you spam it, leaving you awkwardly exposed while you wait for cooldowns. Combine that with the clunky feeling in fast encounters, and you realize that keeping a smooth combat flow with Hand Cannon is like trying to dance in clown shoes. Possible, but definitely tricky. Then we have Mace, which is kind of a love-hate weapon. On the plus side, the heavy attack going through walls is insanely fun. You can smack enemies hiding behind cover and feel like a total tactical genius, but the downsides hit hard. Moving around feels stiff and awkward, and those long attack animations? On Knight difficulty and above, one missed swing can get you punished in a heartbeat. Mace is great if you plan your hits carefully and love that crushing weight feeling, but don't expect to breeze through fast-paced fights without some frustration along the way. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Sword, Halberd, and Gauntlets. Alright, let's start with the sword. This one's like the reliable friend you can always count on. Agile, fast, and perfect if you're just starting out in Sworn. The combo strings flow nicely, letting you chain light and heavy attacks without feeling clunky, which is a huge bonus when you're learning enemy patterns. The only catch is range. Without upgrading to Sword in the Stone, you'll find yourself needing to get a bit too close for comfort, especially against enemies that like to punish reckless approach. Still, for overall versatility and the beginner-friendly fun, the sword definitely earns its B-tier spot. Next up is the Halberd, a weapon that demands patience but rewards it beautifully. The starting damage is solid, and both charged light and heavy attacks can pack some serious burst damage, especially if you build around heavy attacks with Gogmagog blessings. It's slow, sure, but that's part of the charm. You feel like a strategic powerhouse when you land those crushing blows. If you're into carefully timing your swings and punishing enemies for every mistake, Halberd gives you that satisfying I am unstoppable feeling without being overpowered. Finally, we have the Gauntlets. These are all about agility and flashy combos, letting you chain light attacks like a whirlwind across the battlefield. The downside, starting damage is on the low side, and to really shine, the weapon leans heavily on blessings to boost its effectiveness. If you stack the right buffs, gauntlets can be a blast, letting you zip around and keep enemies off balance, but in the early game or without good blessings, you might feel like you're throwing punches at air more than anything else. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, chimes, scythe, magic staff, great hammer, bow, bow staff, and claws. Let's kick things off with chimes. If you like building up damage over time, chimes is a blast. It's perfect for hitting groups of enemies and watching those stacks grow into some seriously satisfying numbers. The trade-off? Starting damage is pretty low, so early encounters can feel a bit underwhelming. Plus, the effective range is awkward. You're not exactly melee close, but you're not comfortably at a safe distance either. Still, once you get the rhythm going, chimes really shines in crowd-heavy situations. Next up, the scythe. This one is a classic for a reason. Attacks are fast, and the spin moves are incredible for clearing out enemies that cluster around you. It's perfect for anyone who loves that close-range, crowd-control playstyle. The only drawback is the low starting damage, which means you'll need to rely on stacking and combos to really feel powerful. Even so, the fluidity and speed make it a joy to swing around. Now let's talk magic stuff. Long-range lovers, this one's for you. It deals excellent damage from a distance, and if you snag the triple projectile upgrade, it becomes a monster for burst damage. The catch? The light attack has no close range hitbox, so if an enemy gets up in your face, you'll need to pivot fast or get creative. When used smartly though, it's one of the strongest ranged weapons in the game. Great Hammer is next, and this weapon is pure satisfaction for stack builders. Heavy attacks hit hard and fast, making it perfect for stacking damage quickly. Starting damage is already strong, so you feel like a force of nature right from the start. The downside? The light attack is slow and clunky, so timing is key. You can't just mash buttons and expect consistent results. Bow is a fantastic option for precision and positioning. High starting damage combined with excellent range makes it a safe choice, especially for new players trying to learn spacing and enemy patterns. The limitation is that movement is restricted during the light attack, which can leave you vulnerable if you're not careful. Still, mastering that balance between attack and mobility turns bow into a deadly tool. Bow staff brings speed and the mobility to the table. Fast attacks let you weave through enemies effortlessly, and the heavy attacks can be dash cancelled for insane uptime. The trade-off? Low starting damage, so early fights feel a little weak until you start stringing combos together. If you love fluid, dance-like combat, bow staff is incredibly satisfying. Finally, we have claws. These are all about speed and agility. Fast attacks and combo strings make them perfect for pairing with Spectre's blessings, emphasizing a quick hit-and-run style. Low starting damage means you'll lean on stacking and blessings to really make an impact, but once you get rolling, claws let you tear through enemies with style and speed that's hard to beat. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Chakrams, Tome, and Armillary Sphere. Let's dive into the S tier, starting with Chakrams. Honestly, if you're not using these yet, you're missing out on one of the most fun weapons in Sworn. They shine both at range and up close, letting you fluidly dance around enemies while dishing out damage. The return path isn't just flashy, it creates insane backstab potential when paired with bad B blessings. On top of that, they synergize beautifully with most spells and Fey Lord setups, making them ridiculously versatile for nearly any build. Next, the Tome. This weapon is basically a cheat code for anyone who loves range control. The heavy attack has insane reach and can hit enemies even through walls, while the light attack is fast enough to consistently apply status effects. What's wild is that it survived the 1.0 launch completely untouched. It's still dominating runs because the versatility and damage output are just that strong. The only small gripe is that the light attack requires you to stand still, which can feel a little awkward in super mobile fights, but it's a minor trade-off for all the power you get. Now, Armillary Sphere. If stack building damage is your thing, this weapon is basically cheating. It applies on-hit effects faster than anything else in the game, letting you set up permanent freeze effects when paired with bearer blessings. And when you throw in crystal turrets, you're basically creating a lockdown nightmare for enemies. Fast, powerful, and strategic. It's a must-have for anyone aiming for efficiency and dominance in every encounter. Chakrams, Tomim, and Armillary Sphere all bring something unique to the table, but what unites them is that they reward skillful play without feeling unfair. You're not just swinging wildly and hoping for luck. These weapons let you plan, execute, and watch your combos and setups snowball into total chaos for your enemies. Each of these S-tier weapons also scales beautifully with blessings, spells, and Feylord setups. If you like experimenting with builds, they give you room to be creative while still maintaining raw power. That's why they feel not only strong but genuinely fun to play, which is rare in a game where some weapons can feel clunky or one-note. At the end of the day, if your goal is fluid, strategic, and satisfying combat in Sworn, S-tier weapons are the ones that make every encounter feel like a highlight reel. Chakrams for mobility and backstabs, Tome for range and control, and Armillary Sphere for stacking chaos. Pick any of these and you're basically set for a fun, dominating run. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.